So, would a dragon ever attack their own rider? Has that ever happened in this story? Technically, yes, but it's complicated. It's also a spoiler from Fire and Blood and a very likely spoiler for House of the Dragon. So only watch if you're okay with that. There is a time when someone rides a dragon and it does not go well. The issue is it was not their dragon. The person in question is Joffrey Velaryon, Rhaenyra's third son. Now, he has his own dragon called Tyraxes, but, and again, this is a spoiler too, so what happens is a mob descends on the dragon pit in King's Landing, and Joffrey desperately wants to get to the dragon pit, presumably to save his own dragon that is locked up in there. Because it's not his actual dragon, it's his mother's, it's not the same bond. Now, I'm sure Syrax was very familiar with Joffrey, had seen him be born and raised, but he wasn't their chosen rider, and I stress the word chosen. Something about what Joffrey did triggered something in Syrax, and it all went to hell. And Rhaenyra knew. Before it even happened, she knew something bad was going to go down. Call it a dragon riding mother's instinct. So Joffrey sneaks away, and when they realise Rhaenyra is panicking. No, the queen was heard to say, I forbid it, I forbid it. But even as she spoke, her dragon flapped up from the yard, perched for half a heartbeat atop the castle battlements, then launched herself into the night with the queen's son clinging to her back, a sword in hand. After him, Rhaenyra shouted, all of you, every man, every boy, to horse, go after him, bring him back, he does not know. My son, my sweet, my son. 7 of Rhaenyra's men ride from the Red Keep down into King's Landing, and the place it's kicking off like big time. It's chaos. What Joffrey did in this moment is described in Fire and Blood as an act of courage, but also an act of folly. Fire and Blood says this, we shall not pretend to any understanding of the bond between dragon and dragon rider. Wiser heads have pondered that mystery for centuries. We do know, however, that dragons are not horses, to be ridden by any man who throws a saddle on their back. Syrax was the queen's dragon. She had never known another rider. Though Prince Joffrey was known to her by sight and scent, a familiar presence whose fumbling at her chains excited no alarm, the great yellow she-dragon wanted no part of him astride her. In his haste to be away before he could be stopped, the prince had vaulted onto Syrax without benefit of saddle or whip. His intent, we must presume, was either to fly Syrax into battle, or, more likely, to cross the city to the dragon pit and his own dragon, Tyraxes. Mayhaps he meant to loose the other pit dragons as well. Joffrey never reached the hill of Rhaenys, where the dragon pit is situated. Once in the air, Syrax twisted beneath him, fighting to be free of this unfamiliar rider. And from below, stones and spears and arrows flew at him from the hands of the shepherd's blood-soaked lambs, maddening the dragon even further. 200 feet above Flea Bottom, Prince Joffrey slid from the dragon's back and plunged to the earth. Little Joffrey was said to have crashed first onto a steep pitched roof before rolling off to fall another 40 feet amidst a shower of broken tiles. We are told that the fall broke his back, that shards of slate rained down about him like knives, that his own sword tore loose of his hand and pierced him through the belly. In Flea Bottom, men still speak of a candle maker's daughter named Robin, who allegedly, cradled the broken prince in her arms and gave him comfort in his final moments. Thus perished Joffrey Velaryon, Prince of Dragonstone and heir to the Iron Throne, the last of Queen Rhaenyra's sons by Laenor Velaryon, or the last of her bastards by Sir Harwin Strong, depending on which truth one chooses to believe. And then the mob descends on this scene and tear him to shreds. It's a mess. Rhaenyra is stood on this balcony looking out over this scene from the Red Keep, watching all this go down. Let's just let that sink in for a second. So why did this happen? Was it because Syrax was not Joffrey's dragon? He had his own? Was it because Syrax herself had a rider in Rhaenyra? A living rider? So is it that Joffrey's bond is already forged with another dragon and that's why Syrax just couldn't do it? It is interesting that Syrax does take flight and then begin to shrug Joffrey off. It feels like the bond between dragon and rider is just so special and so unique that unless you are one, we can never really know just how strong it really is. But it's definitely an enduring thing. Plus, we've already had a moment on House of the Dragon where we saw the link between Rhaenyra and Syrax when she was in labour and she is in pain. The dragon is in pain as well. So they've got that connection. It already exists. Oh God, I think they are going to do this on the show now. Ugh. These dragons are smart, intelligent creatures, but they are also magical creatures. They're also animals. Did Syrax understand what they were doing? That this would bring horrendous pain and grief to their own rider? Maybe Syrax had no choice. It's one thing to hitch a ride with a dragon and their rider because the rider is present. Taking someone's dragon, that's a whole other issue. A big no-no, it would seem. Now, Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen did take Balerion the Black Dread, and he was not her dragon at that point. But Balerion took Rhaenyra away and brought her back to Westeros. At the time, Balerion did not have a rider, so maybe that's why that was okay. I don't think it was the lack of saddle or whip. I don't think that was the reason why Syrax ejected Joffrey. The only other thing I can think of is that the dragon was startled in some way. Now, I am going to wrap this video up because I am starting to verge into tinfoil hat territory, but I'm going to share with you a quick thought. What if Syrax did panic, did freak out in that moment, but not because of Joffrey, but because of something else? What if the dragon had a sense, a premonition of what was about to happen? The storming of the dragon pit. Maybe Syrax did what she did, not because of Joffrey, but because they wanted to get to the dragon pit ASAP to stop the mob descending on these dragons which were chained up. What do you guys think? Why did this happen? Because I can't picture a scenario where Syrax does this lightly. There had to be a reason. Aside from this example, we do not have any other examples of a dragon turning on a rider, attacking their rider. They may clap their jaws and get a bit testy and swish their tail from time to time, but nothing on this level. So I'm going to wrap this up, but if there are any other questions you guys have about dragons or anything else you want to talk about with them, do let me know.